the spiritual component, of course, that I want to share with everyone is when you are practicing this womb massage, it's a deeply spiritual journey that I was taken on, that you go on. It's not a okay, that's back in the right place, like move on with your life and good luck.
It's continued devotion.
Very deep. And there were certain points that you were pressing into my cervix and into my womb space where there was huge releases of trauma and wounding and huge emotional releases that were coming out from my body. And I can remember one in particular on my left side, which was where I had the cyst, and it was this grief. It felt like this grief of I felt I was like transported back to being a little girl and feeling abandoned. And it was this almost like what I felt like we were doing was touching the root of my abandonment wound and like giving it somewhere to be released, giving it somewhere to go. And there was tears and there was emotion moving and there was tension that relaxed. And I honestly feel like after that session, I don't know that I've like felt that same wound come up at all since. Whereas it was something that was maybe quite frequently triggered, And so can you speak to that, like how does all of this, how does this happen, because it's that physical experience and then it's just so much more than that that's going on.
Absolutely. And again, it kind of brings us back into the interface of the body, where it's the interface of this physical temple and vessel. It's the interface of our emotional landscapes, of our energy body. And I preface with my clients a lot the way that even if we have worked through something mentally, even if we have consciously connected to something, there still may be roots in the body where it is living. So when we connect to the tissues, we connect to that kind of final reservoir of where this energy and emotion is being held. And that's where we get to heal in an embodied state in the body, somatically, in that moment, that we can truly process the energy and emotion from the tissues and re-inhabit that part of ourself. For you, really re-inhabiting that left ovary even deeper. Because where we carry these wounds, we have a tendency to not reside fully. And so through this body work care, through the coming home to our tissues, to our vessel, we re-root and again inhabit that wholeness. And we find ourselves seated then, in these reservoirs of energy, like the left or the right ovary, that are so powerful in our lives. And so instead of kind of tiptoeing around that place, we're fully in it. We're fully activated within ourselves. We're inhabiting this part of who we are. And from that place, we get to receive the medicine and the wisdom that dwells there. So always, always, always holding such respect that the body remembers. And the more that we learn in kind of the somatic world of healing arts, the more we discover just how true that is. And science is really starting to understand that, which is miraculous. So that we're bridging, the worlds of spirit and science and really meeting this phenomena that is the body and how true healing can actually occur by coming back into this place and feeling the emotion that we have trapped inside ourselves.
Yeah, so powerful.
Yeah.
I can imagine there are plenty of women listening to this who feel the deep call to this work, but have questions around or fears around, wait a minute, someone's hands are going inside of my womb. Wait a minute, like, what's the deal with that, know? Because it's not sexual, it's not a pleasurable, but it's also, it's not like going to the gynecologist, right? So I can imagine there are women that have reservations around this.
Absolutely.
And I completely would have as well if I hadn't been in like a I need to do this kind of mode.
Yeah.
What advice do you have, or can you soothe the people listening and kind of let them know like what it's really like, what to expect, and kind of help them with their fears?
Absolutely. So we'll just kind of imagine that you're arriving, right? You're arriving into this session, and I'm going to greet you with a warm cup of tea, and we're going to just sit down together, woman to woman, and drop in and connect. And I call this care devotional bodywork within a ceremonial setting, because devotional bodywork means that we are holding the utmost of respect to you and your body. So we are going to go so slow, and we are going to start in places that are more comfortable. The body is an interweaving where all parts really connect to each other. And when we look at the fascial planes, we begin to heal through the legs and down the diaphragm, and we're already nourishing the pelvic space. So what you experience in a session is touch in these kind of more comfortable places, so that we begin to drop into deep, deep safety together. And kind of where a lot of our reservations can come once we start to get to more of the intimate places is just from sexual wounding that we've carried. And I personally believe that it is sexual wounds that permeate our Western care realm, which is why we don't talk about sexual health, which is so important to our overall health. Like, I don't know that we can have full, vital well-being if we're not in sexual wellness, because our sex centers are the centers of life itself. So it's a remembering that, wow, these parts of me are so sacred. And when we start to understand the way that the health of our sex centers and our womb plays a role in our hormonal balance, plays a role in our fertility, plays a role in our menstrual cycle, we can kind of come back into this awareness of, wow, this matters so much for me to receive care here. And so in the session, we go so slow because safety and comfortability is my utmost priority for every single woman, and that the body can't truly receive unless we feel safe. And so perhaps the first session, we only do external care, and we really tend to the inner hips and the womb space and the ovaries. And then maybe the second session, we do vulva care. And then maybe the third session, we do internal work. But all of these spaces play an integral role with each other and with the overall health of the body. So circling back to devotional body work, we have this ceremonial care setting to remind each woman how much she matters, to remind her how important she is. And again, we sit down, we go so slow, and we really just go at the pace of the body, respecting what that is uniquely for each woman. And as women sit with me, we drop into this remembrance together of, oh wow, this is so safe. And oh wow, this is like not what I maybe thought when my nerves were speaking really loud. And we can feel in our body how good it feels to be cared for.
Yeah.
Like when I am held by another woman and she sees me and I know I'm safe, there's so much that becomes possible in that moment for our well-being. And I just truly believe that we have to restore that for ourselves. And it's nothing like a gynecologic visit in a sterile setting. It's so warm. It's so nourishing. It's so
worlds
respectful.
apart, really.
It's worlds apart.
It's like how, you visit a gynecologist and
it's scary and uncomfortable.
It's dehumanizing. It's uncomfortable. It's not pleasant for anyone. And we think that that's it.
Yeah.
And then we come into spaces such as yours and we feel so nurtured, so taken care of. And I just remember so many times with you, I just cried because I was like, women need to know about this. Like, all women need this. And the reason that they don't have it is because they just don't know. This information isn't being spread enough.
Right.
And it's how can we access that if we don't know it's there?
Exactly.
So we really need to spread this message and let people know that spaces like this exist, and we can be cared for by women who deeply understand the womb and the healing work and everything that's involved there.
Yeah.